Hi everyone, this is Peyton Stilling with another episode of The Power of Storytelling, and today we have Arooj Sheikh. Arooj is graduated from the University of Texas with a degree in business. She has since gone on to be a keynote speaker, entrepreneur, book author, founder of Amplifying Training Institute. It is safe to say that you have accomplished a lot in a little amount of time. So thank you so much for being on today and hopefully giving some wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
I like to get started with this podcast from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, growing up? Where did you grow up? All that good stuff.
Absolutely. So I grew up in a suburb of Houston, Texas, for the most part. I would say my upbringing was pretty normal, I would say. I went to a regular suburban high school. That's sort of also where my high school friends were. And I don't know, I would say it was pretty like very much of a common upbringing in the United States.
Where in Houston? I'm just
Pearland, Texas.
Yes. My grandparents are from there.
Oh, small world.
Exactly where you're talking about.
There we go.
And what kind of things were you involved in school?
Yeah, so I would say that since I was really young, like as long as I could remember, I had always just dreamed really, really big. So I remember being like 9, 10 years old and wanting to become an entrepreneur when I grew up. And I would say that is like really unusual to like know what you want to do and like what you want to be when you grow up and then actually be that person. I think that is really unusual, but also, it wasn't necessarily I want to start this specific thing ever. It was just more so of the like wanting to be an entrepreneur. Like the area, I figured that's something that you can figure out later and what types of companies I would be interested in. I think really one thing that I did well growing up is that I really tried a lot of things. And I think especially when you are, starting your entrepreneurial journey, whether you like it or not, there are going to be a certain amount of mistakes that you're going to make. So if you can make them early, if you can make them cheaply, then that's really fantastic and absolutely gives you like a huge competitive advantage for when you go all in later on in life. So really, try as many things as you can. And that's one thing that I certainly did. So that was a really good experience.
Because I kind of was the same way when I was little. Did you start any little businesses when you were younger?
I did. I started a few little businesses when I was younger. When I was 9, I wanted to be a fashion designer, like many 9-year-old girls do. So I started a website, and I asked my aunt in Pakistan to help me find clothes and so I sold a few, mostly to like family and friends, but I thought it was really fun. And I still have like at my parents' place, I still have like a little notebook where I wrote down my business plan. And I was like, okay, so this is like what I'm gonna do. And I think especially if you have like supportive parents, and my dad was exceptionally supportive, and he was like, go do whatever you want, like you can do anything you want in life. You just have to be good at it. Like you can become like an artist, but you have to be good at it. Yeah. And that was like the only caveat, like be good and do whatever you want. And I think that was also something very supportive and very encouraging. And then I started like a few other projects like here and there. I started a nonprofit when I was 15, like things of that sort. Wow. And then when, I started college, I think I sort of just took that I'm just going to try like a whole bunch of things mindset to college as well. And when I was in university, it's crazy. And even like looking back now, I'm like, I did quite a lot. And so even in my college years, freshman year, I started a startup. I worked on that for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then I worked at, venture studios, startup accelerators. I worked at VCs, and then my last semester of college, I actually published a book, and that's when I published it. It was last January. We're actually almost coming up to the anniversary. It was January 25th, 2021. So almost a year ago. But really, again, it's if you can have a wide variety of experiences, like you can take what you learned in one setting and apply it in another. And what I learned from working at a venture studio, what I learned from starting a startup, those are two very different things. And if I went and started another startup, like it would, I have all those different perspectives to take with me. And I think that's a massive advantage. So don't shy away from trying different things, even if it's just for like a small period of time. 3, 6, 12 months, doesn't matter. Like you will gain so much from that experience. And even if it's something completely unrelated to anything you do or might be interested in, it's still a very good experience to have. So 10 out of 10 recommend.
You gotta try it all, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So you did lots of little startups, businesses, which led to bigger things down the road. Before we got started, you were telling me about how when you were 14, you studied abroad in Turkey.
I did. Yes, when I was 14, I studied abroad in Turkey.
About
Absolutely. So in middle school, I went to a charter school. So 6th to 8th grade. And so because I went to a charter school, they had like a program to take students to Turkey. And essentially, I ended up receiving a scholarship to go to Turkey for about a month. And it was a life-changing experience, to say the least, especially because I was so young. And I think that really what it gave me was a lot of independence. It was the first time I had ever done anything like that, like a lot of the other students and participants, like I had just finished middle school. This was summer before high school. And so all the other students, like they a lot of them knew each other. And I was the only one from my school, like that branch. Wow. And there were students from like a few branches that knew each other. And so I went into this experience not knowing anyone. And now that's something I'm very deeply comfortable with. I did not know anyone in Argentina when I first came here, which more on that later. But really it came down to like it was just so new. It was so novel. And when you do something so novel like that, everything is a new experience. Everything, like going to the grocery store, trying to figure out what's what, walking around the store a couple times to find that the milk is not in the fridge. So it's just a new experience. You have a language barrier, and really, it's also when you're traveling, like things do tend to go wrong sometimes. And I think it also helps with problem solving, it gave me problem solving skills. It gave me independence. It showed me that if something went wrong, or even if something went right, or being placed in a new environment, I could figure it out. And I think that I could figure it out mindset really took me very, very far, because I didn't shy away from new experiences and new challenges, because I don't have to have all of the answers. That's okay. I know that when I'm there, I can figure it out. And I think that very early experience in my life certainly primed me to have that mindset and to really develop it and grow with it.
That's so
And of course,
like
yes, absolutely. And of course, like, you know, not everyone has access to a program like that, especially so young. But one thing I would recommend is seek any new experience that from which you can get that sort of independence, something that is challenging to you, so that you know that when you're given a challenge, you can come out of it on top, you know. And that's also one way to build trust with yourself and knowing that you can do hard things. Because going to Turkey by myself when I was 14 and I didn't know anyone, I didn't speak the language, that was a hard thing. And a really amazing experience came of it, you know, and knowing that that's something that I can do really set me up for success later in life.
Confidence, like, all right, I can be in a new country by myself, like, I got this.
Exactly. Exactly.
So going from there, you knew from a young age that you loved businesses and being an entrepreneur, and when it came time for you to decide college, did you know that you wanted to go to college? Did you know that you wanted to like continue pursuing being an entrepreneur? Did you know all those things already?
So I think that I did know that I wanted to go to college. And the reason for that was not necessarily just the education factor. It's also that I was in a new environment, and a very open environment where it's okay to, you know, try different things. You can take classes that are very different from what you normally would. You can join organizations, there's new people. And I think that was a really big contributing factor to why I wanted to go to college. And of course, you know, that's just one reason, and there's lots of others. Like, I do think that, so here's my take, and it's maybe a little unusual. I think you should go to college for at least 1 year. Whether or not you continue is up to you, but I think it can be really, really helpful to at least be placed in that new environment. Whether or not you continue, I think, really depends on the individual. If it's something that they really feel like they would gain a lot from. I did finish my degree, but I would say that, you know, some people are also okay without it. It does provide additional security, but I think you can give yourself similar security in other ways as well. Like, college is not the end all be all, so you shouldn't just go to college because everyone goes to college. Like, think about it for yourself. And that's the way that I approached it, is I didn't just want to go because everyone else went. I wanted to go for specific reasons that were a good fit for me. So it's not the only way to be successful. It is one way that can help you and support you 100%. Just like, be clear on what you want to get out of it.
So from college, you graduated with a degree in business, and you founded Amplifying Training Institute. Did you do that straight out of college, or how did that?
So that's an interesting question. Like, to be completely honest, like, and again, here's the thing, like, you look at my resume and you looked at my LinkedIn and you see these things, you know, I'm Austin's 25 under 25, things of that sort. And like, even me, like, I can like fall into this place, you know, where I graduated and I did not have a job lined up. And it sucked. Like, it sucked for a few months. And honestly, like, it was more like, it felt like unemployment, you know. And the reason that it felt like unemployment and I was pressuring myself to go out and find a job was really because I had student loans, you know. And so one thing I will definitely say to younger students right now is like, make sure you find and research scholarships. Like, make sure you're aware of like what student loans look like for you, because it will come back later on. So I think I was like pressuring myself to find a job because I had student loans coming up. I think again with COVID, like it was postponed for a certain amount of time. And so it's fine, but I was like definitely stressed that I couldn't find a job. And again, like, you know, you look at my background, like theoretically I should be able to find a job. And I don't know, it sort of just hit me that, you know, this wasn't even what I had wanted. Like, why am I trying so hard to find a job? Like, I think the thing that I was really scared of was, I mean, like consistently knowing that I can support myself financially. And I think that at a certain point, like you're always just going to have to like take that leap. And I remember being like 14, 15, 16, listening to like podcasts or like going to events and hearing people talk about how they quit their jobs, and it was like this big leap. And I didn't understand it before, you know, like it was so like, okay, but like you could just go do the thing, you know, and it just seemed so easy to me back then. And now like I get it, you know, because there are, you know, there's living expenses, lots of other things to think about. And those are very real factors. Those are absolutely very real factors. But even still, at a certain point, like you have to like decide that this is the thing that you're gonna do, and consistency will come. You know, consistent revenue, like it will come, and you will figure it out. Again, back on that note, you know, you will figure it out. So I think, you know, after like a few months of trying to find a job and not being successful at that, I decided that I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so why don't I just give it another go? And so I think at a certain point, like something just clicked. I started a practice of journaling. I journal every single day before I sit down and work, and that has been life-changing. And I think it really helps me assess old patterns and build new ones, like ways of thinking, ways of like my behavior around certain things, around productivity. Like, okay, I procrastinated on X thing. Why did I procrastinate? And getting really granular on why I procrastinated. So I think that's also been a really amazing tool. And finding tools that help support you when you do make that leap, I think that can also be something really helpful. And again, you know, back when I was in high school, this is not something that I had ever thought about. But here's some advice, and here's what I wish I could have told myself a few years ago. You know, make sure if you choose to go to college, like research your options. Make sure that student loans do not come back to bite you. Please do your research. Please do your homework. Also, there's the whole notion of just generally like be very clear and concise with what you want. I think that is also something that is incredibly helpful. Just having clarity. I think having a journaling practice is also really impactful. And knowing that you can figure it out as the time comes. So start challenging yourself in smaller ways, and start building that confidence that you can do hard things. And it doesn't have to be like a big thing, like going to Turkey by yourself when you're 14. Like it can be like signing up for you know, dance lessons or music lessons or whatever that thing might be that you've always wanted to do. But start building that trust with yourself and start showing yourself that you can face challenges, and that's when you can do the big stuff. You know, like for me now founding the Amplify Training Institute, that's like the big stuff. For example, you know, like now I'm an adult. And so, you know, knowing that I had overcome so many smaller challenges on my way here is why I knew that I could do it now. So I would say, you know, coming back to building that trust, taking on those little challenges and giving yourself those little wins so you can go for the big one.
And how is running that business going? You know?
It's amazing. Like honestly, like it took a little bit to get started. Like I'm not gonna lie, I tried a few different things that just weren't working, but I think I finally figured out what works and it just clicked, you know? Like I would say that, and it's okay if like it doesn't work as soon as you want it to, like you're gonna have to try a few different techniques, a few different tactics, but you're gonna figure it out. Again, that's a phrase that I think I think it's like my favorite phrase, honestly. Um, is you can try like X, Y, and Z, and then it's all like an experiment. It's not that just that you tried X method and it failed, and so you failed. It's that you have to go to Y and you have to go to Z, and it turns out that Y somewhat works. Z is like the thing that really clicks, you know? Yeah, but I mean, again, you know, I think it's really rewarding. And just like a quick introduction of what I do with Amplify Training Institute. For context, I would say is that I do corporate training. So 90-minute seminars, 6-week training programs on innovation for adaptive leadership. And really, you know, the thing is, I started this because I think that there are people that are really, really phenomenal at whatever thing that they're really passionate about. And I think that this really is a skill set that if you learn this, you can amplify anything that you're doing. So for example, if you are really interested in engineering or if you're a really amazing product builder, whatever, if you learn this skill set, like you can do just so much more with it. Like you can take that skill set so much further. And that's why I started this institute, because really I think it's like you're taking some very talented people and you're just like you're giving them a skill set that complements what they already know so that they can take what they know further. And that's what I love about it. So I would say it's exceptionally rewarding. I really love this work. I moved to Argentina. I'm here for like a couple months and then we'll see where to next. But it's like I wake up every day and I'm just like, wow, like this is my life, you know? And you're gonna have that moment. Like if you're listening to this, like you're already investing in self-growth and self-development, and you're gonna have that moment one day where you wake up and you're like, wow, like this gets to be my life.
Yeah.
So just like relax, like you're gonna do great. So yeah.
Is most of your business in Argentina, or are you just running the business from Argentina?
I'm just running it from Argentina. It's remote. Yeah.
Is the time difference that different, or?
No, it's like 3 hours, so it's pretty doable.
Not bad. So nice. You can just move around and go wherever the wind blows.
Yeah. Like this is everything I had always wanted, like growing up. Like I had always wanted to live in a different country for a couple months at a time. And now I'm doing the thing. So it's, yeah.
Do you think you'll stay in Argentina for a while, or do you have plans to hop somewhere else?
I have plans to hop somewhere else. I love Argentina. I'm in Buenos Aires. I think for me, I really love slow travel. Like I want to have my favorite cafes. I want the baristas to know my name. Like I don't just want to hit all like the landmarks and the sightseeing and then leave. Like I want to feel what life feels like in that country, like being there, you know? And I want to have that with many places. And I think it's also really beautiful that I get to call so many different countries like my home for these periods of time. And it just builds like a sense of familiarity where you are, you know, like it takes like a week or two to adjust, but like, you know, the streets around your neighborhood, and it's an experience. Oh my God. Like I love it. I love it.
Aw, that is so cool.
Thank you.
And also another thing I wanted to talk to you about is you wrote a book. And
I did.
tell me a little bit about that. What made you want to write a book?
Absolutely. So, um, basically, my junior year of college, that summer, I was supposed to study abroad in Spain. However, this was summer 2020, so we all know what happened there. Um, travel plans fell through, but originally, I was writing a different book. It was called the Pitch Deck Playbook. It was on how companies can pitch their ideas and get investors. And basically, that was the entirety of the book. And I was hoping to do a speaking tour in Europe after my study abroad. So that was my original plan. What actually ended up happening was that summer 2020, COVID hit, plans fell through. And so I stopped working on the book for about like 1, 2, 3 months. And then I got back to it, and the book turned into something very different and something far more complex. So the book that I ended up publishing is called the Fundraising Strategy Playbook. Essentially, that is more so on fundraising strategy. So what types of investors do you want? What types of investment vehicles do you want to use? A lot more so on like the financial legal stuff. And, of course, the pitching is still there, but it's a lot more detailed and a lot deeper. And I published the book January 2021. I would say really the reason that I wanted to write this book is because like one, I think I had gotten started with the other book because I wanted to do a speaking tour, but then during that period where I kind of stopped working on it, I really reevaluated why I wanted to pursue this in the first place. And I think it occurred to me, I really had like a lot of varied experiences, like I've felt what it's like to be the founder pitching to an investor. I've seen what it's like to work at a venture studio and build 5, 6, 7 companies at a time. I've seen what it's like to work at a startup accelerator and see the types of companies that are coming through, what it's like to prepare them for pitches at scale, like with multiple companies. I've seen what it's like to work at a VC firm. I've seen what it's like to be the investor hearing the pitches. And I think that these were just so many different perspectives. And I think just like the variety was that, if I were to start a startup and be a founder again, I could see the problem from how a venture studio would look. Like I could see the pitch from how a venture studio would look at it. I can evaluate it from the point of view of an investor. I can evaluate it from the point of view of an accelerator, and just like all of these different things. And I think that was the key, because when I was a founder, I did not understand any of this. Like I just thought I had to like make a pitch deck and like investors and money would come to me and it would all be easy, but it's far more complex than that. It's more so a thing of here is the problem, here is the solution, and here are all the different ways that we can talk about it to appeal to all of these different people. And here's why I would want to work with a venture studio. Here's why I'd want to work with an accelerator. Here's why I'd want to work with a VC. So really one big thing was the variety of perspectives. I think that was something really valuable that I wanted to share. And the other thing was, I think often is the biggest, like a major barrier to a lot of people starting companies is financial. And I think that I wrote this book as much for myself as I did for other founders, is to remind them that, there are so many different ways to get started. There are so many ways to get started. You can get creative with this, I think one thing is also that in the startup ecosystem, it's very much preached that you just go for venture capital, and if a VC rejects you, that's the end all be all. Like, you don't have a company. And I think that's also somewhat of like a perspective that we have in the industry. And really empowering founders to say, you have so many options. Like, there's so many different ways to get started. And here's all of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I think really I wanted to empower founders with this information, with this sort of thing that I wish I had known before. And that's what it was a culmination of.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
So for everyone that's listening, if you are an entrepreneur and need more insight on the financial side, go get her book called The Fundraising Playbook. Go get it, and you can learn all about all of that stuff. It sounds like it's a lot. So before we wrap all this up, I love to end the podcast asking you, what is your best piece of advice for young entrepreneurs who, you know, need some wisdom in their life?
Absolutely. I mean, I would say the number one thing that I can tell you is you decide what's possible for you, like always, you know, and there might be people that try to give you advice, and that's not to say that you should not take their advice. It's just take it with a grain of salt, you know. For example, if someone tells you that if you want to be successful, you have to work 80 hours a week and you have to like grind and like hustle till you burn out, like, and that's the only way to be successful. Like, maybe that's the only way that they've known to be successful, and they do mean well. It's just that you can decide differently, you know, like you can decide that I can be successful and I can put in like 30, 40 hours a week, like something that's normal. I can put in 20 hours a week, whatever it might be that you want that to look like, you decide. And especially when you're doing something new and novel, like you are like paving a path forward. Like, other people haven't done this. So like, take advice, get as many perspectives as you can, but also, you know, you decide what advice to take and you decide what perspectives you want to take. If someone's telling you that you can't do something, like, maybe it's because they think that they couldn't do it, you know, and you can decide that it's possible for you. Like, it's you decide what beliefs and what thoughts you accept, and you like you know, like you let get to you. So if someone's telling you no, maybe it is a no. Maybe it means that you have to tweak something, and that's okay, you know. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible. So I would say that's my final piece of advice for people that are interested in entrepreneurship, and anyone, quite frankly.
I love that. Thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this podcast. Again, you know, this is a lot of the stuff that I wish I had available to me when I was younger. So I really do hope that this helps someone out there. And if anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm usually pretty responsive, and you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to get in touch.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And that is a wrap on the power of storytelling. Bye, guys.